I think the week of July 13th to 17th is shaping up to be one of the wildest weeks Beyond the Gates has delivered so far. Between a possible murder plot, family confrontations, emotional reunions, and relationship drama, Fairmont Crest looks like it's about to explode with chaos. The biggest storyline revolves around Bill Hamilton, who suddenly ends up in the hospital. From what I saw in the preview, Chelsea Hamilton and Naomi Hawthorne are desperately looking for answers as they speak with Dr. Madison Montgomery. Unfortunately, Madison admits that the doctors still don't know what's causing Bill's condition. You can really feel the anxiety from his daughters as they just want to know what's happening to their father and what comes next. I was wondering if this is finally the moment Haley Hamilton has been waiting for. The spoilers suggest Bill's hospitalization is connected to her poisoning plan, meaning everything she has been plotting may finally be paying off. If that's true, the stakes have become incredibly high. Haley certainly doesn't look worried. Instead, she seems thrilled as she meets with her fellow schemer, Randy Parker. Randy asks if they think this is finally the end, and Haley responds with a smile that Bill may be knocking on death's door. To me, that's one of the coldest moments in the entire preview. Whether she's celebrating too soon remains to be seen, but she's clearly convinced her plan is working. Meanwhile, the return of the articulettes brings a much lighter but still emotional storyline. Tracy Tyler and Sharon Winger visit Anita and Vernon Dupree with an exciting proposal. After Anita successfully beats cancer, they encourage her to celebrate by rejoining them on tour. Anita doesn't immediately agree, and I think her hesitation makes perfect sense. Beating cancer is one thing, but jumping back into life on the road is another huge decision. Vernon seems completely supportive, but Anita will have to decide whether she's truly ready for that next chapter. The rivalry between Danny Dupree and Haley also reaches another level. Danny wastes no time getting under Haley's skin, reminding her that while Haley may have won Bill, she believes he'll never truly let go of the life he shared with her. Danny confidently tells Haley that this is what really tears her apart inside. Haley laughs it off, but to me, that reaction feels more like someone trying to hide how much the words actually hurt. The preview also teases more explosive drama involving Leslie Thomas and Ted Richardson. The two get into a heated argument right in front of Eva Thomas after Leslie downplays her behavior by claiming she was only doing a little harmless flirting. Ted completely disagrees, delivering a sarcastic remark that even Jessica Rabbit was more subtle. That comparison immediately raises the tension, and Eva's shocked reaction makes it obvious she's had enough of her parents' constant fighting. Overall, I think this week's episodes are setting up multiple major turning points. Bill's mysterious medical crisis could completely change the Hamilton family. Haley's confidence may be tested if her plan doesn't unfold exactly as expected. Anita faces a life-changing decision about returning to the stage, and several long-running family conflicts continue to boil over. I may be right or wrong, but it feels like these episodes are laying the foundation for even bigger consequences in the weeks ahead. If the preview is any indication, Fairmont Crest isn't slowing down anytime soon, and July sweeps could deliver some of the most dramatic moments the series has seen so far. I think Monday's episode of Beyond the Gates is shaping up to be one of those installments where multiple storylines collide at once. And Bill Hamilton's medical emergency could easily become the biggest turning point of them all. What really caught my attention first, though, was the growing tension between Kat Richardson and Chelsea Hamilton. These two have always had disagreements, but they've usually found a way to work things out because of how close they are as cousins, best friends, and business partners. This time, however, the conflict feels a little different. Chelsea pitches an idea that immediately rubs Kat the wrong way. I was wondering whether this is connected to their living arrangement or if it's something involving the Chelsea Cat brand. Either possibility makes sense, but the bigger question is whether Kat's emotional state is making her react more strongly than she normally would. If that's the case, this disagreement could become much more serious than their previous arguments. At the same time, Nicole Dupree seems to be looking at the bigger picture. To me, her concerns about Kat's impulsive condo purchase make perfect sense. Kat bought the condo almost immediately after turning down Tomas Navarro's marriage proposal, and it felt less like a carefully planned decision and more like an emotional reaction. Kat clearly hoped that buying a place for the two of them would help move their relationship forward, but Tomas didn't see it that way. Instead of being excited, he felt uncomfortable with the idea because the condo belonged entirely to Kat. His old-fashioned values made him worry that people would assume he was benefiting from her wealth instead of building an equal partnership. Rather than moving in officially, he chose to spend time there while paying his own expenses. I think Nicole is connecting all the dots. From her perspective, Kat may be trying to compensate for rejecting Tomas's proposal by rushing into another major commitment. Whether Kat is ready to admit that herself is another story. She has been making several emotional decisions lately, and that could explain why the people around her are beginning to worry about her increasingly unpredictable behavior. Meanwhile, Danny Dupree and Andre Richardson are facing a completely different problem. Andre genuinely believes Danny is still struggling with PTSD after the devastating tornado, and his concern for her has been sincere. The tragic irony is that Danny's emotional turmoil isn't coming from the storm at all. She's carrying the guilt of cheating on Andre with Bill Hamilton, and Andre has no idea that's the real reason she's been acting differently. I think that's what makes this storyline so compelling. Andre is trying to help the woman he loves, but he's fighting the wrong battle because he doesn't know the truth. That secret is hanging over their relationship, and it's only becoming heavier with each episode. Then there's Bill Hamilton, whose storyline may deliver the biggest shock of the episode. After everything that unfolded during Dr. Madison Montgomery's deposition, it feels like Bill's health is finally about to give out. If I'm right, his collapse won't be completely random. The timing makes it seem connected to Haley Hamilton's poisoning scheme, which appears to have been quietly building toward this very moment. If Bill suddenly collapses and is rushed to the hospital, it could completely change the direction of several ongoing stories. His condition would immediately put Haley's actions under greater scrutiny, while also creating emotional fallout for everyone connected to him. Depending on how serious his medical crisis becomes, the consequences could extend far beyond a single episode. Overall, I think Monday's episode is balancing emotional conflict, relationship drama, and high-stakes suspense all at once. Kat's impulsive decisions, Danny's hidden guilt, Andre's misplaced concern, and Bill's apparent medical emergency all seem ready to collide. I may be right or wrong, but this definitely feels like the kind of episode that could shift several storylines in unexpected directions and leave viewers with plenty to talk about afterward. I think next week's Beyond the Gates is setting up some of its biggest emotional moments yet. While one character celebrates surviving a life-threatening battle, another may be facing the exact opposite fate. After watching Bill suddenly become dizzy while dealing with Mike and questioning Madison about the lawsuit, I couldn't help wondering if this medical crisis is more serious than anyone expected. He was rushed to the hospital, and now everyone is searching for answers. Chelsea and Naomi join their father to question Madison about what's been making Bill so sick, which makes me think there could still be a major mystery waiting to be uncovered. At the same time, Haley doesn't exactly hide her feelings. She actually seems ready to celebrate, telling Randy that Bill could be knocking on death's door. To me, that's one of the coldest reactions we've seen, especially considering everything that's happened between them. But I may be wrong, and the show could still reveal another side to her motivations. On a much brighter note, Anita finally has something worth celebrating. After months of chemotherapy, her surgery was successful, and she's officially cancer-free. For now. I was genuinely happy to see this victory after everything she's endured. Then comes another surprise when her soul sisters, the articulettes, return with an invitation to join them on tour. Vernon looks absolutely thrilled by the idea, but I think Anita now faces a difficult decision. Does she jump back into performing and embrace this new chapter? Or does she choose to slow down and focus on enjoying life after such a hard-fought battle? Meanwhile, things become even more uncomfortable in Ted and Leslie's relationship. Eva walks in just as her parents are arguing, and Leslie brushes everything off by claiming Ted is overreacting because she was only being a little flirtatious. Ted clearly doesn't see it that way. His sarcastic comparison, saying Jessica Rabbit was more subtle than Leslie, says everything about how frustrated he's become. Even Eva seems exhausted by her mother's constant games, which makes me wonder how much longer this family can keep pretending everything is fine. The biggest emotional confrontation may come as Bill continues fighting for his life. Danny finally faces Haley and tells her it's obvious Bill has never truly gotten over either her or the life they built together. That confrontation immediately raises another question in my mind. Has Bill reached out to Danny from his hospital bed in hopes of reconnecting, or is Danny simply speaking from her own instincts about what still exists between them? I don't think the answer is completely clear yet, but it definitely feels like the show is building toward an emotional turning point. Overall, I think these episodes will balance hope and heartbreak at the same time. Anita's inspiring recovery offers one of the week's happiest moments, while Bill's uncertain future leaves everyone wondering whether he'll pull through. Add in the growing tension between Ted and Leslie, plus Danny and Haley's explosive showdown, and it feels like Beyond the Gates is preparing for a week filled with emotional twists that could change several lives forever. I think this episode did a great job of building tension by putting everyone under pressure at the same time. What started as Madison's deposition quickly turned into something much bigger, and to me, the emotional moments ended up being just as important as the legal drama. The deposition begins with Mike walking into Bill's office, carrying himself like he's already won the case against Madison. He comes across as the kind of lawyer who thrives on intimidation, convinced that aggressive questioning will break his opponent. Madison is understandably nervous when she arrives, but after receiving encouragement from Bill, Haley, and Naomi, she gathers herself and walks into the room ready to face whatever comes next. As soon as the questioning starts, Mike goes straight on the attack. Nearly every question is met with objections from Bill and Naomi, creating a tense back and forth throughout the deposition. I was expecting Madison to crack under the pressure, but she actually handles herself remarkably well, staying composed despite Mike's relentless attempts to shake her confidence. Ironically, the person who seems to struggle the most isn't Madison, it's Bill. The longer Mike pushes, the more frustrated Bill becomes. Then, when it's finally Bill's turn to question Madison, something completely unexpected happens. He suddenly loses his train of thought, becomes dizzy, and appears seriously unwell. The entire room immediately shifts from legal battle to genuine concern. Even Mike, who moments earlier was doing everything possible to dismantle Madison's testimony, pauses because it's obvious something is wrong. Haley's reaction caught my attention the most. On the surface, she acts worried like everyone else, but I couldn't help feeling there was something darker underneath. Based on everything that's happened, it almost seems like she's secretly wondering whether her plan to get rid of Bill is finally beginning to work. I may be wrong, but that moment felt intentionally unsettling and leaves plenty of room for future twists. Meanwhile, Jacob and Naomi continue dealing with the emotional impact of Naomi's BRCA diagnosis. Jacob admits he's still trying to process the possibility that his wife may choose to undergo a double mastectomy. Despite the fear and uncertainty, his response is incredibly supportive. He makes it clear that her health and happiness matter far more than anything else, and that all he wants is for them to have as much time together as possible. Their quiet moment before Naomi heads to the office was one of the episode's most heartfelt scenes. Jacob's day doesn't stop there. he meets Smitty at Orphe Jeans to discuss the disturbing possibility that the impaler may have escaped justice, adding another layer of unease to the story. He also visits Eva, where his brother is doing everything he can to keep her calm. I liked seeing Jacob openly support their relationship because it shows how much he's trying to hold his family together, despite everything happening around them. At the hospital, Danny shares a surprisingly touching conversation with Ashley. Ashley assumes Danny is angry that she kept Naomi's medical condition a secret, but Danny responds with gratitude instead. She thanks Ashley for being there when Naomi needed someone the most. Since Danny wasn't present for much of Naomi's journey, she asks Ashley to help fill in the emotional gaps. Their conversation naturally shifts to Danny's own future after learning she also carries the BRCA gene. Rather than letting fear control her life, Danny decides she wants to stay aware of the risks without allowing them to define every decision she makes. I think that's a very realistic outlook. She acknowledges the seriousness of the situation while refusing to let anxiety consume her future. One of the more unexpected developments comes from Leslie and Darlene. They meet for coffee, and surprisingly, neither conversation explodes into a major confrontation. I wouldn't call them friends just yet, but they do recognize that their children care deeply about one another, meaning they'll have to find some way to coexist peacefully. Sometimes simply reaching that understanding is a significant step forward. The episode ends on a deeply emotional note when Tyrell and Samantha visit June at Orphe Jeans. Tyrell presents her with a graduation photo, and the gesture completely overwhelms her. Watching June break down in tears of gratitude reminds us how much it means to be accepted and included in the lives of the people you love. Overall, I think this episode balanced courtroom suspense with powerful family drama exceptionally well. Bill's sudden health scare raises serious questions about what could happen next. Haley's subtle reaction hints that her story may be taking a darker turn. And the ongoing BRCA storyline continues to deliver some of the show's strongest emotional moments. To me, the episode wasn't just about winning legal battles. It was about the personal struggles each character is fighting behind the scenes. I think next week on Beyond the Gates is shaping up to be one of the show's biggest weeks, with emotional reunions, dangerous secrets, and a few life-changing decisions that could affect several families at once. The storyline that immediately stands out to me is Anita's. After everything she has endured, from chemotherapy and the brutal Red Devil treatment to a successful lumpectomy, she finally has a chance to focus on something other than her cancer battle. While she and her family are still waiting for the final pathology results, Anita suddenly finds herself facing an entirely different kind of decision. Her longtime friends, Sharon and Tracy, reunite with her and present an exciting proposal. They want Anita to celebrate beating cancer by rejoining the Articulettes and going back on tour. Vernon seems thrilled by the idea, and honestly, it feels like returning to the stage has always been part of Anita's long-term dream. The only question is whether the timing is right. I was wondering if Anita might decide to slow down and prioritize her recovery a little longer, or if this opportunity will remind her that life is too short to keep waiting. Either outcome would make perfect sense to me. Meanwhile, Bill's condition becomes increasingly alarming. Naomi and Chelsea stand beside their father's hospital bed, clearly terrified because no one can explain exactly what's wrong with him. Their concern feels genuine, especially as they admit they simply want answers about what comes next. Interestingly, Madison quickly shifts from being Bill's client back into her role as his doctor. That sudden change makes me think the medical mystery surrounding Bill is about to become much more serious. I have a feeling someone will eventually realize that his illness isn't natural at all. The biggest question is whether they'll discover the truth before it's too late. At the same time, Haley is already imagining life after Bill. Sitting with Randy, she sounds convinced that Bill is close to death and that the massive $10 million insurance payout could soon become reality. Randy appears more cautious, but Haley seems incredibly confident. To me, that's what makes her storyline so dangerous. She isn't just hoping Bill dies, she's actively poisoning him. Ironically, the poison seems to be working more slowly than she expected, which creates a new problem. She needs Bill alive just long enough to secure her financial future, but every extra day also increases the risk that someone uncovers what she's been doing. That tension becomes even stronger when Haley clashes with Danny once again. Danny doesn't hold back, reminding Haley that despite everything, Bill still hasn't emotionally moved on from their relationship. I think Danny's confidence comes from knowing something Haley doesn't want to hear. She has undeniable proof that Bill still carries feelings for her, and that's exactly the kind of secret that could slip out during an emotional confrontation. If that happens, Haley could become even more desperate, and desperate people often make reckless mistakes. Finally, Leslie proves that old habits are hard to break. She insists that Ted is overreacting because she was only being a little flirty. But Ted completely disagrees. His sarcastic comparison to Jessica Rabbit says everything about how he views the situation. I couldn't help but laugh at that line, but underneath the humor, it feels like Leslie is once again stirring up unnecessary drama. Even if she's trying to reinvent herself, it doesn't look like she's ready to leave her chaotic side behind. Overall, I think next week's episodes are setting up several major turning points. Anita faces an inspiring new beginning, just as her health journey reaches a hopeful stage. Bill's mysterious illness seems closer than ever to being exposed as something far more sinister. Haley's dangerous plan may finally begin to unravel, especially if Danny's secret comes to light. And of course, Leslie appears determined to keep creating chaos wherever she goes. I may be right or wrong, but my prediction is that Anita will seriously consider returning with the articulettes. Bill's true condition will move much closer to being uncovered, and Haley's carefully planned scheme will begin falling apart as suspicion grows around her. I think the new Beyond the Gates promo for the week of July 13th to 17th is setting up one of the biggest weeks the show has delivered in a while. Almost every storyline feels like it's building toward a major turning point, and there are several moments that immediately caught my attention. The promo opens with Bill Hamilton lying in a hospital bed while Dr. Madison Montgomery speaks with Naomi Hawthorne and Chelsea Hamilton. Madison explains that the doctors still don't know what's wrong with Bill, and Naomi makes it clear that the family is desperate for answers. To me, this scene feels designed to keep viewers guessing, but everything seems to point toward the possibility that Bill's sudden medical crisis is connected to Haley Hamilton's poisoning. I could be wrong, but that certainly appears to be the direction the story is heading. What makes the situation even more unsettling is what comes next. Haley is shown looking surprisingly calm as she meets with her cousin Randy Parker, who has been involved in the #KillBill scheme. Randy wonders if this is finally the moment they've been waiting for, and Haley responds with a smile, saying that Bill may be knocking on death's door. That reaction really stood out to me because it suggests she believes their plan may actually be working. Whether she's right or simply getting ahead of herself remains to be seen, but it's a chilling moment either way. The tone shifts with a much more uplifting storyline as Sharon Winger and Tracy Tyler reunite with Anita Dupree at the Dupree mansion. They encourage Anita to celebrate defeating cancer by joining them on tour again. I was wondering whether Anita would be willing to leave her family behind after everything she's been through. However, the promo hints that Vernon Dupree may support the idea. Anita looks uncertain when she glances at Vernon, but his warm, approving smile makes me think he wants her to embrace this opportunity and enjoy the next chapter of her life. Another confrontation that immediately grabbed my attention is the latest showdown between Danny Dupree and Haley. Danny confidently tells Haley that while she may have appealed to Bill's basic instincts, he'll never truly get over the life and love he shared with Danny. She believes that's exactly what continues to haunt Haley. Instead of getting defensive, Haley simply laughs, which makes me think this rivalry is far from over. Their scenes continue to be some of the most emotionally charged moments on the show. Finally, the promo closes with a tense confrontation involving Leslie Thomas, Ted Richardson, and Eva Thomas. Leslie tries to downplay her behavior by insisting she was only being a little flirty, but Ted isn't buying it. His sarcastic response, comparing her subtlety to Jessica Rabbit, is one of the promo's more memorable lines. Eva's shocked reaction, demanding to know what's going on with her mother, ends the preview on a dramatic cliffhanger. To me, that final moment suggests there's much more beneath the surface, and this conflict could explode into something much bigger over the coming episodes. Overall, I think this promo balances suspense, emotional family moments, and explosive confrontations extremely well. Between Bill's mysterious hospitalization, Haley's apparent confidence that her plan has succeeded, Anita's life-changing opportunity, Danny and Haley's ongoing feud, and the growing tension surrounding Leslie and Ted, the week of July 13th to 17th looks packed with twists that could have lasting consequences for several of the show's biggest characters. I always enjoy seeing the cast of Beyond the Gates share moments that remind us they're having just as much fun behind the scenes as they are bringing these characters to life on screen. After what sounded like an exhausting work week, Daphne du Plessis and Carla Mosley still made time for one of their now traditional Friday dance videos. And I think that's become something fans genuinely look forward to. Daphne du Plessis recently posted another Instagram reel featuring herself and Carla Mosley dancing together on the Beyond the Gates set. By now, these Friday dance reels almost feel like a weekly tradition. The two actresses usually pick a trending song, put together a fun routine, and celebrate making it through another busy week of filming. This time, they kept things casual and stylish, wearing denim bottoms paired with spaghetti tops while dancing perfectly in sync. What stood out to me wasn't just the choreography, it was how naturally they seemed to enjoy each other's company. They were smiling the entire time, and I think that genuine friendship is a big reason these videos resonate with so many fans. Their off-screen chemistry feels completely authentic, and in my opinion, it adds another layer to what viewers see when they portray sisters Dr. Nicole Dupree Richardson and Danny Dupree on Beyond the Gates. Sometimes when actors share a real friendship behind the scenes, it naturally enhances the relationships we watch unfold on screen. I could be wrong, but I think that's exactly what many viewers are picking up on. du Plessis also shared a caption that gave everyone a glimpse into how demanding the filming schedule had been. She wrote, "Phew, this week worked us, but you know we weren't leaving this set without getting one in. Have a beautiful weekend, family. Rest up, dance it out, do whatever fills your cup." To me, that message perfectly captured the spirit of the video. Instead of focusing on how exhausting the week had been, they chose to end it with laughter, music, and a reminder to take care of yourself. It's a simple but uplifting way to close out a busy week, and I think that's one of the reasons these Friday dance reels have become so popular. I also find it refreshing that they continue sharing these lighthearted moments with fans. Soap operas are often filled with emotional storylines, dramatic twists, and intense family conflicts. So seeing the actors relax, joke around, and enjoy themselves behind the scenes creates a nice balance. It reminds everyone that while the drama is real on screen, there's a close-knit cast having fun once the cameras stop rolling. If this weekly tradition continues, I wouldn't be surprised if fans keep looking forward to these Friday dance videos just as much as they look forward to the next episode. They may only last a few seconds, but they offer a genuine glimpse into the friendship and positive energy that seems to exist behind the scenes at Beyond the Gates. I think next week's Beyond the Gates is shaping up to be one of those weeks where almost every storyline reaches a major turning point. The preview for July 13th to 17th, 2026, teases a health crisis, emotional family confrontations, possible revenge, and even a reason to celebrate. The biggest storyline to me is Bill's medical emergency. He's rushed to the hospital and the atmosphere immediately feels tense. Naomi and Chelsea are clearly overwhelmed as they speak with Madison. They aren't asking for miracles, they simply want honest answers about their father's condition and what comes next. Their anxiety makes the situation feel very real, and it seems like the entire family is bracing for difficult news. At the same time, Haley reacts in a way that really stood out to me. While Bill is fighting for his life, she meets with Randy and says that Bill may be knocking on death's door. Instead of showing concern, she almost sounds as if she's convinced she's finally coming out on top. I may be wrong, but this feels like the kind of moment that could eventually come back to haunt her, especially if the truth about her motives starts coming to light. On a much brighter note, the Dupree family finally gets something worth celebrating. Sharon and Tracy return home and encourage Anita to celebrate beating cancer by joining them on tour. I really liked this moment because it gives Anita a chance to move forward instead of looking back. Vernon doesn't even have to say much. His expression alone suggests he's completely supportive of the idea, making it one of the preview's most uplifting scenes. Elsewhere, Danny and Haley continue their ongoing rivalry, and Danny doesn't hold back. She believes Haley may have appealed to Bill's impulses, but deep down, he has never truly let go of the life he built with Danny. According to Danny, that's exactly what bothers Haley the most. Haley tries to brush the comments aside, but I was wondering if Danny's words hit closer to the truth than Haley wants anyone to believe. Another confrontation that caught my attention involves Ted, Eva, and Leslie. What begins as a father-daughter moment quickly falls apart when Leslie interrupts. She dismisses her behavior by claiming she was only being a little flirty, but Ted's response steals the entire preview. He fires back that Jessica freaking Rabbit was more subtle. It's such an unexpected line that it instantly lightens the tension while perfectly expressing just how inappropriate he believes Leslie's actions were. Eva's disappointed reaction afterward only makes the scene even more awkward. To me, the preview raises several big questions heading into the week. Will Bill survive this latest health crisis? If he does, could his recovery completely change the balance of power among everyone surrounding him? And if Haley is already acting as though she's won, could that confidence end up exposing secrets she's been trying to keep hidden? Overall, I think the week of July 13th to 17th looks packed with emotional family drama, sharp confrontations, heartfelt celebrations, and a few memorable one-liners. If the full episodes deliver on everything teased in this preview, Fairmont Crest could be heading into one of its most dramatic weeks yet.